Hello and welcome to In Focus Out There. That's right, in this video, I'm hiking in beautiful Thailand. Thailand, you say? But aren't you from boring flat Holland? Indeed I am. So how'd you end up in Thailand, you might ask? Excellent question. Allow me to explain. The year was 2018, and I was back in Holland. The weather was cold and grey, and so was my mood. I was girlfriendless, jobless, and one could even say a little depressed. Then, suddenly, I had an epiphany. I wanted to travel to Southeast Asia. Once the thought had taken root, it was decided. Final. I was going to Southeast Asia. But that's easier said than done. I would need money, transport, maps, logistics. In other words, I would need a plan. First, I would find a job. Any job. I would work for 1 year and save up as much money as I could. I would plan and organize. Then, after 1 year, I would buy a plane ticket, pack my bag, and fly to Asia. And thus it came to pass. The months flew by as I worked various jobs and planned my travels. Before I knew it, 2019, my year of adventure, came around. So I quit my job, grabbed my backpack, jumped on a plane, flew halfway across the world from cold, dark Holland to sunny Thailand, finally landing in the city of Bangkok. As soon as I got off the plane, the heat and humidity hit me like a brick wall. But I would not let something as insignificant as weather stand between me and adventure. I gritted my teeth and, braving the heat, I started exploring the city. I visited Lumpini Park, where I stood face to face with a giant lizard that couldn't care less about all the stupid tourists taking pictures of it. I went to the Siam and Ratchaprasong shopping district with its gloriously air-conditioned shopping malls. Then I did all the touristy stuff. I went to the Grand Palace and the adjacent Vat Palat with its enormous golden cherry. I went to Chinatown and its many markets. And then I went to many, many temples. Here's Vat Po with its golden reclining Buddha. Here's the Temple of Dawn, Vat Arun Pracha Vararam. And finally, here's Vat Saket, with its highly decorated stairs and spectacular view of the city. After 5 days of shopping, temple hopping, and generally being overwhelmed by amazing sights, I hopped on a train to my next destination, the northern city of Chiang Mai. But first, along the way, I stopped at the ancient city of Ayutthaya, which was the capital of Siam before it was sacked and burned down by the invading Burmese army in 1767. It was definitely worth the visit to see its many temples, still impressive despite their decay. Riding the night train, I continued my journey north to Chiang Mai. And it was here that I would finally do my first proper hike in Asia. My destination for this hike was a temple, Vat Palat Temple Suthep, named for the mountain, Doi Suthep, on which it stands at an impressive height of 1,073 meters. To get to the trailhead, I rented a bike and made my way from my hostel in the old part of town through the busy traffic to the White Cow Waterfalls, where my hike would begin. At the trailhead, things were wonderfully calm. As it was still relatively early in the morning, only a few people were around. Some working, some enjoying the peace. A bridge across the White Cow River led me to the waterfalls, the first of several on this hike. getting my fill of watching water roar downstream, I started my climb towards the temple.
You probably can't see it in the video very well, but it is already quite steep. It's getting warm. It is now 9:52 a.m. and the sun's rising, and so is the temperature. So I'm getting on my way. Up, 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 as always.
After climbing for only a few minutes, I got to see the waterfall from a different perspective. Through the trees, I could see people were also making their way up on the other side of the gorge. But tourists and water weren't the only things I could see from up there.
Check out my view. Pretty cool, huh? That's Chiang Mai over there. That's where I came from. That somewhere is where I'm going.
After taking in the view, I continued to hike upwards. The trail led through what felt like a lush jungle with unfamiliar but often beautiful plants and trees. Somewhere along the way, I also found the remains of little Buddhist statues and trinkets, now adorning the jungle floor. Following the trail, I ended up reaching the Vanguard Bun viewpoint. Here, there was a nice little shelter. I decided to sit down for a moment to rest my legs and take in the view. After a few minutes though, it was time to continue on. Still following the river, the trail led on to the Ponet Waterfalls. Here, impressive stone walls lined the river valley. For some reason, sticks had been placed as if to support the stone walls. It seemed structurally quite sound to me, but then again, one can never be too careful, I guess. Dwarfed by the stone walls, some locals were enjoying the cool water of the waterfall. It was tempting to join them, but I still had a long hike ahead of me, so I moved along, once again following the river upstream. As I navigated the terrain, jumping across the river and climbing up rocks and over fallen trees, I have to say I felt quite the jungle adventurer, even though in reality, I was on a well-known path and really never all that far from civilization. Sometimes though, it's good to indulge in a little bit of childhood fantasy. The trail eventually led to a road, which I followed to the entrance of the national park. There was a nice little pavilion which provided shade and a good place to rest my legs. As I sat drinking some water, I listened to the many strange sounds of the jungle around me. Birds chirping, trees gently swaying in the breeze, insects going about their mysterious business. Life was happening all around me. But the trail awaited, and soon I had to move on. I returned to the road and followed it south, to the entrance of Vat Palat. This temple complex houses several smaller temples, many beautifully adorned and guarded by large stone creatures. Eventually, I came to an ornamented staircase leading up to the final bit of the trail. This final ascent would take me to my destination for the day, Vat Palat Temple. The trail was steep and dusty, and by that time the temperature had risen to uncomfortable heights. But the beauty of the lavish flora and fauna around me kept me in high spirits throughout the entire ascent. I mean, how can you not be impressed by this? As I neared the end of my ascent, I came across this simple but decidedly unnerving bit of graffiti. I'm not sure why, but this just creeped me out. Still, the trail continued, and soon I reached the road that led me to the temple I was now eager to explore. Even before ascending to the temple itself, there were several impressive statues and shrines to explore by the road. A taste of what was to come, so to speak. Finally, I came to the staircase leading up to the main temple. With its 306 steps, this is the longest such staircase in all of Thailand. The steps are flanked by nagas, mythological serpent-like sea creatures with green scales. It's a bit of a climb, but more than worth the effort. After ascending the stairs and buying a ticket at the ticket office, you enter the temple proper. This consists of an outer and an inner ring of buildings, as well as a central stupa or chedi. I decided to first explore the area between the outer and inner ring. One of the first things I saw were these bells. In particular, this row of prayer bells. They seem to be a particular hit with the younger visitors. The outside ring features many beautiful sculptures. Unfortunately, I didn't know the meaning of most of them, but I could still appreciate the exquisite craft that went into making them. And sometimes, beauty in and of itself is simply enough. In the southeastern corner of the outer ring stands this gorgeously decorated wooden structure. Both its columns and roof feature intricate carvings. Though it undoubtedly has a religious meaning, for me, it was a true work of art. Right next to the wooden structure is the main observation platform, from which you can get a fantastic view of Chiang Mai. Unsurprisingly, this is also selfie central. But with a view like that, even I can't blame people for taking pictures. When you tear yourself away from the view of the city, you will be facing the temple's chedi. A chedi or stupa is a hemispherical structure that houses a holy relic, It is the heart of most Thai temples. This one was beautifully decorated with gold and is said to house the shoulder bone of Gautama Buddha. It is the most holy part of the temple. Though Vat Palat Temple sometimes comes across as merely a tourist attraction, it is in fact a functioning Theravada Buddhist temple, where believers come to pray and receive blessings from the monks who reside there. Therefore, when visiting the temple, be sure to show respect to the local customs by dressing modestly and removing your footwear before entering the shrines. The various shrines and connecting passages that make up the inner ring of the temple house many rows of golden Buddha statues. These vary greatly in materials and styles. The walls behind them are adorned with murals depicting various scenes from Buddha's life, as well as elements from Hinduism. After a last look at the view of the city, I started my return journey towards it. Down the Naga stairs, downhill over the dusty paths, past Vat Palat and following the Monk's Trail down into the Chiang Mai University campus. Here I walked past the beautiful Ang Khao Reservoir and finally made my way back to my bike. And so my hike came to an end. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, my name is Michel and I am in focus out there. And I will see you on the next one. Have a good day.